Today, it's worth looking at the escalating disarray within Russian ranks as Ukraine's unyielding resistance exerts further pressure on the Kremlin. And central to this narrative are the growing defections and the remarkable participation of Russians and other ethnic groups in Ukraine's own defence forces, a phenomenon that underscores a profound moral and strategic shift in the war. The slogan, "Go where victory awaits you," has now become an anthem for many Russian soldiers and citizens who've switched sides. Over 5,000 Russians have joined the Free Russian Legion, donning the white and blue anti-Kremlin flag. And these defectors, once loyal to Moscow, cite motivations ranging from moral indignation at the invasion itself to personal resentment towards Vladimir Putin's regime and the Kremlin. Notably, former Russian military commanders and Chechen guerrillas have also joined Ukrainian forces, forming an unusual but effective coalition against the Kremlin. Among these are people like Pyotr Verzilov, who was part of the Pussy Riot art collective. Initially in Ukraine to document the war, Verzilov transitioned to active military service against Russia, a striking symbol of Russia's internal fractures. And the defiance extends beyond individual defection. The partisans that have formed their own liberation army to challenge Moscow's control, where networks of resistance have emerged across regions historically resentful of Russia's domination. And these insurgencies reflect deep-rooted grievances exacerbated by Putin's insistence on continuing this costly and unpopular war simply by trying to censor dissent and exert maximum propaganda control. The impact of defections is magnified by the staggering Russian losses. Estimates suggest that Russia has sustained over 750,000 casualties since February 2022, and that's probably a modest assessment, a modest number, with daily losses now surpassing wartime records. Such figures have sown despair within the ranks and prompted widespread desertion. For instance, Ukraine's I Want to Live project reports that 25% of Russian deserters hail from the occupied Donetsk and Luhansk regions, where conscripts are treated as expendable cannon fodder by Russia. Even the Kremlin's desperate reliance on foreign troops, such as North Koreans, has proven disastrous. Deployed in the unforgiving climate of Kursk, these soldiers, ill-prepared and poorly integrated, have suffered catastrophic losses, illustrating Moscow's inability to sustain its war effort without resorting to extreme measures. And despite these setbacks, Putin's regime continues to manipulate public opinion, leveraging state-controlled media to portray the invasion as a defensive war against NATO aggression. But cracks in this facade are apparent. While some Russians rally round the flag, others, particularly younger and urban populations, express growing discontent. Quietly, not necessarily in the streets, not necessarily that can be monitored, because Putin has now instituted Stalinist restrictions where families are encouraged to report their own family members. The Kremlin's propaganda machine faces an uphill battle against alternative narratives accessible through independent media and social platforms. VPNs are routine. But it's not enough. What you hear in Russia is silence. You don't hear support, you hear silence. For Ukraine, the defections and the Kremlin struggles represent strategic opportunities. By welcoming defectors and leveraging internal divisions within Russia, Kyiv not only strengthens its own ranks, but also weakens Moscow's ability to sustain the conflict. And the destruction of Russia's 810th Naval Infantry Brigade in Kursk is a testimony to Ukraine's tactical prowess and the Kremlin's operational failures. Putin's war machine is faltering under the weight of internal dissent, strategic miscalculations, and mounting casualties, and the defections of Russian soldiers and commanders to Ukraine symbolize a broader collapse of morale and loyalty. And these trends, coupled with Ukraine's resilience and international support, point to an inevitable reckoning for the Kremlin. As the war grinds on, therefore, the question is no longer whether Russia will lose its grip, but how decisively it will be undone. For now, Ukraine's message is clear. The path to victory lies in unity, courage, and the embrace of those willing to fight for freedom, regardless of where they began.